The BC government just made a massive announcement, one that is going to dramatically change and alter the makeup of our communities forever. There were some amazing things announced in this announcement, which we're going to dive into in this video. But there's also one thing that was announced that I think is going to be a terrible idea. So terrible, in fact, that you definitely want to pay attention because this is going to alter your neighborhood, likely for the worse. In today's video, I'm going to jump into the changes that were announced, both good and bad. But more specifically, I want to address the unthought out consequences of one of these announcements and how it's going to impact everything. Not only that, but I want to let you know what you might be able to do to change it. So if that all sounds good, let's jump right into it. On April the 3rd, our Premier David Eby and the Housing Minister Ravi Kahlon announced a significant change and something that is going to come into legislation very soon called Homes for People. Homes for People. There was lots of amazing things in this document, and one of the things that got me a little bit excited about it more so was they addressed what is called the homes for the missing middle. And if you're not familiar what they're talking about with the missing middle, effectively when you drive around and you see new construction, you really mainly tend to see high-rise condominiums going up if you live somewhere in the lower mainland. Or maybe on the outskirts of areas, you tend to see detached homes, but you don't see a lot of the missing middle homes that maybe you used to see years ago. And these are homes like maybe duplexes or triplexes or quadplexes. Their point, which is very valid, as an example, is there's lots of people that are starting families, and a 1 or 2 bedroom condominium just doesn't really cut it. Problem, of course, is the detached home is so far out of reach for a lot of people just starting out that there's got to be something better out there for them. So they're trying to address this with the Homes for People legislation that they've been working on. And this is really great, honestly, because people do deserve to work and play in the same area. They shouldn't have to travel way to the outskirts to live when they work in a city center. So this is all great. One of the reasons too this is such a problem is in 2022, as an example, British Columbia welcomed almost 150,000 new people into our province, which is just an astounding number. That's crazy huge, right? In fact, this was a record number. So the province has addressed that it wants to spend $4 billion over the next 3 years to help make it better. This is an astounding number. In fact, it was a record-setting year. So the province has addressed that they want to spend around $4 billion over the next 3 years to help add supply to the marketplace. And they want to spend $12 billion in the next 10 to keep pumping homes into our areas. And this is great. This is something we should all be very thankful for because, hey, we do need more homes for people. We can't bring in all of this immigration and emigration without having places for these people to stay. And if you're someone that's been looking for a house recently, you know how crazy busy it is out there. Multiple offers, very little to look at because there's not a lot of homes that are for sale, and this likely isn't something that's going away anytime soon. While there was many great things in this report, which I am going to link below this video in the description so you can check it out for yourself, there was 3 significant items that I really wanted to highlight because I think they're the biggest game changers for anybody that is looking at getting into the real estate market or really any homeowners out there watching this video. The first big announcement was that secondary suites will be permitted all across British Columbia. Now, I serve in the Fraser Valley area, in the Surrey area. I actually didn't even know this was a problem. I didn't realize there was other communities that did not allow for secondary suites, but that's amazing. You know, not only does it potentially provide rental income for anybody that owns a home anywhere in the province, but it also creates homes for anybody looking to either rent or buy. So that's a really cool one that they thought of. The second significant one might not really have as much as an impact. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out, but they really want to can any speculation on real estate. And you're seeing this becoming more and more popular from both the federal government and the provincial government. This means they want to put tax on speculation. They want to tax property flippers to take the income and the rewards out of doing so. Now, the federal government already just announced something very similar to this in January of this year. So it'll be yet to be seen about how this is going to really impact anything because we've already got a tax on that now. In fact, the federal government has gone to say that if you are flipping a tax within certain criteria that's involved, you're really going to be treating that extra income that you make or any profits that you make
as business income.
This means some people could be paying almost 50% in taxes when they sell that house, which really takes a lot of the reward out for trying to renovate and flip a property, especially in a busy market where maybe you don't even renovate it at all. The equity just climbs up so quickly and then you go and sell it right away. So certainly not a bad thing, right? The last significant announcement in this report, and the one that I really wanted to address in this video to get you thinking, is adding homes for the missing middle.
What?
So let me explain what they mean by this. The provincial government is basically saying that they want any single family lot, so anybody with a detached home, to have the ability to rezone that lot and add up to 2, 3, or 4 units per lot. This means any single family home in the province that is just a single home, maybe it has a suite or not, doesn't really matter, could be rezoned and repurposed to hold a duplex or a triplex or a fourplex. Other areas have tried stuff like this as well. So New Zealand has done something similar. The state of California has done something similar. Oregon State has done something similar. It's not necessarily a new idea, but there's some inherent problems with this idea that I really want you to consider, and really how it's going to change the makeup of the neighborhood that you live in. I want you to imagine for a moment that you live in a neighborhood that's mostly comprised of detached homes. You're looking out on your street and you're starting to see reconstruction of all these homes where they're going to put in, as an example, 4 units. And the reason they're probably going to put in 4 units and not 2 or 3 is because there's more profitability there for a developer. More on that later though. Let's start with consideration number 1 that I really hope the government addresses. And this is, where is all the parking going to be for 4 units of homes? The Toronto Star published that the average Canadian household has about 1.5 cars. That gives you 6 cars per one single family lot in your residential neighborhood. Now, not only does that stand the chance to make it look like a parking lot in the front of the yard for the lot that's being redeveloped in question, but that doesn't also mean that there's not maybe more cars than that. That doesn't even account for people with maybe adult children that have extra vehicles, or when anybody in one of those 4 units have friends over. If you don't think parking is a big deal and it needs to be really thought out in a very, very smart way, just go check out the neighborhood of Clayton in Cloverdale. This area is a mess with cars all over the street, limited parking, and to the point where the neighborhood has been petitioning the local government for years about how to appropriately add more parking to the area, get cars off the streets, and change zoning requirements to make sure that there is enough parking for any new homes that go in. It's a big, big mess, and it's going to be very, very difficult for that community to ever clean that up. So they really need to think about, where are all these cars going to go? Because if you're allowing this to happen in neighborhoods that aren't close to commercial, that are completely walkable or very close to transit areas, people need vehicles, plain and simple. The next one to consider is really what you're doing is creating a small strata property. So for those of you that probably don't know, which you likely don't, duplex units, older duplex units as an example, are really strata properties, and they're considered non-conforming strata properties. Here's where this becomes important, however. You've got 4 different families living on a one single family lot, and there's going to be some inherent challenges with that. Number 1, who governs the property? So who takes control? Unlike a big strata building where you've got multiple units and it is professionally managed, when you have only 4 units on one single lot, they're not going to be hiring a property management company. So who handles disputes? Who ensures that people are following the guidelines and the rules that are set out for that community to live in? I also want you to consider problem owners. Anybody that was looking to buy in maybe one of these fourplexes as an example, how do you deal with the neighbor who stays up really late and plays music and never cuts their grass? And when the roof needs to be redone, how do you make sure everybody chips in and has the amount of money to even replace the thing in the first place? You've also got to consider things like the insurance of the entire property and what happens when someone causes a leak in their unit, which drips down into the next. And of course, there's general upkeep of the house as well. So it's going to be very confusing how they try and implement this to make sure that it works. There's also the consideration of short-term rentals. Having a single family home in a crazy desirable neighborhood, let's say Kitsilano or White Rock Beach as an example, that now becomes 4 units instead of one single detached home area, This is going to be a major profit center for anybody that renovates their existing property or builds a home specifically for short-term rentals in that area. So you're going to have a ton of people coming and going in these areas because it's going to be incredibly profitable for that homeowner. Speaking of profit centers as well, how many builders out there are actually going to want to continue to build single family homes? There's going to be so much more money in putting up these fourplexes because now they effectively get to sell 4 properties instead of just 1 property. We might just be completely saying goodbye to the future of seeing single family homes being built in our communities. This really could be the death of the single family detached home. And the last one I want to leave you with, and I'm sure there's others, but the last one I want to leave you with is the sense of community, or the community that you live in. You know, you bought into a community based on a certain set of understood standards, and the rules of the game are about to change for those communities. The question that I am stuck with is it okay for detached homes to be out there and people to want to live in neighborhoods where the density isn't incredibly thick with lots and lots of people? I understand people need homes to live in, and it's an important problem, but I also think people deserve the choice to pick a neighborhood where it's busier or less busy based on how many people actually live there. Do you want to live in a neighborhood where there is cars all over the street? Are our roads prepared to handle this extra traffic that this will eventually bring to small residential neighborhoods not well supplied by transit? These are all questions that I am left troubled with that I really hope the government can answer as they begin to roll out this plan. And as they mentioned about the missing middle, that leaves me thinking about townhomes. Townhomes do support the missing middle of our population. They are the stepping stone between a condominium and a detached home. And oftentimes these townhomes are put in the appropriate areas because they are zoned to have them, because it's close to transit, close to significant arteries and shopping, so you're not clogging up residential streets with too many people and their cars. So I really hope that the government proceeds with caution on this particular initiative, because I think it's important that it gets well thought out so we don't see another Clayton neighborhood or any other neighborhood in the Lower Mainland that has been significantly changed because it wasn't appropriately thought out in the first place. Zoning exists for a reason, and more density should always land near major transit, major shopping, and major road arteries, not in the middle of suburban neighborhoods. So that's where it leaves me to ask, what do you think? What do you think of the government's new plan? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? What do you think of their initiatives regarding the missing middle and the ability to change a single family detached home lot into up to 4 units? Be sure to leave your comment below and let me know what you think. And if you're someone that's worried about this new announcement, make sure you let your MLA know. Make sure you have your voice heard and let them know your concerns, because you might not stop the progress, but you might help improve it and make it better so everybody in the community gets to enjoy a nicer, healthier community. Hey, look, I want to thank you for watching today's video. Be sure to check out the description below as well, because if you are someone looking to buy or sell your home and you feel a little lost on what the next steps might look like, there is a link to our calendar where you can book time to speak directly with me and my team, and we'll help you get the information you need to be successful. I want to thank you for subscribing, and we'll definitely look forward to seeing you on the next video. Cheers.